Hey guys, coming to you here with one final video and the last joke worksheet that we're actually going to do here throughout this time. So this video is for Tuesday, April 14th. April 15th, I'll have just a Math Excel assignment for you guys, just reviewing what we've done. And then on Thursday of this week, we are going to just have a assignment on Math Excel that just kind of reviews basically all of the joke worksheets. All right. And that last assignment on Thursday may be titled as a quiz, right? So that way it kind of limits what we're doing here and trying to really get some understanding if we do understand what happened, all right? So look for some more instructions about that. But today, I wanted to give you here, I know it's been a while since we've done this, but this right here was the previous joke worksheet that we did. I know that I told you this is one of my favorite answers to the joke riddle. What law firm is famous for sneaky legal tricks? It's do we cheat them and how? Do we cheat them and how? Do we cheat them and how? Law firms, they're famous for, having last names in the title of their law firm. And if you and I did it a little bit there once, slow down the words, do we cheat them and how, right? So that law firm is famous for sneaky legal tricks. All right, again, this is the last one. What do you call it when somebody spends the whole day making pottery? Well, here's what this is. This is going to be the same idea that we've done with the Did You Hear About? The same thing that we've done with the sneaky legal tricks on the law firm. But here, in the process of solving these problems, we're going to have some quadratics, right? So we're still going to be figuring out the same way, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you guys to try the odds, all right? So that's going to be your assignment. So let me do a couple evens here. Let me make sure that I know exactly which ones I want to do with you. I'm going to say that is going to be 4. We'll start with number 4. All right. Now, one thing with number 4, and you don't really have a problem that you're going to be assigned that you can do this way, but notice you just have 2 fractions, right? And so anytime you just have 2 fractions, you could just use the cross multiplication method. But because we're not going to do that, because you won't have a chance to do that on any of the 5 questions here on the left-hand side, then I'm not going to show you that method here with this, right? So the first thing that we would do, again, find the LCD, right? The LCD in this problem has to be a plus 5 and a plus 1, right? The reason for that, just kind of getting back into that mindset, is my LCD has to have everything that's on the left-hand side, the bottom of the first fraction, and the bottom of the second fraction. So therefore, it has both of them. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, right here, let me see if I can get some better light here for this. Kind of on a different setup here. There we go. That way you can see some colors. So I'm going to set up my LCD as an a plus 5 and a plus 1 right here. And the second fraction, I'm going to also set that up again as a plus 5 and a plus 1, right? So I've written on top of both of them. Now what I want to do is I want to cancel them out, right? I want to cancel whatever happens there on the top of my LCD that I've written and what happens there on the bottom, right? So on this one, a plus 5 is just cancels out. On the second fraction, just an a plus 1, right? So what do we have here? We still have our a. We have our a plus 1, right? We have our equal sign. We have our 3 right here. And what was left over here on the right-hand side was just the a plus 5. From here, we're just going to be trying to solve this problem, right? So that's a squared plus a, and it equals 3a plus 15. Now, here's where we have to do something a little bit different. Because we have a quadratic, because we have a letter squared, we have to think about solving these. Or how do we do that? We do that by getting everything on one side. Okay? So when we get everything on one side right here, I'm faced with a choice. Do I want to get everything here on the left-hand side, or do I want to get everything here on the right-hand side? I always want to get it on the side that has the a squared in this case. Maybe it's an x squared, maybe it's an m squared on different things, right? So if I set this up, I'm going to go a squared minus 2a minus 15, and it equals 0. Right? So I'm moving my 3a over, I'm moving my 15 over to the other side, and I have this set up. The reason we want to be able to move everything to one side is because we're going to solve by factoring. Now, if you want, you could use the quadratic formula, negative b, and so on, but factoring is always going to be the quickest method, right? These problems do factor. So if I factor it, I need two numbers that multiply to be negative 15 and add to be 0. Right? So you can see it. Sorry about that. It says equals 0 right here. Oops, finger covering it. So if it's a minus 5, that means it's a minus 5 equals 0. If it's a plus 3, that means it's a plus 3 equals 0. So a equals positive 5 and negative 3. Both of those are the answer. Now what I'll want to do, and this will happen to one problem over here on this side, is you'll want to check your answers. Right? Here's what I mean by that. If I'm just looking at the first one, the 5. If I plug 5 into the bottom, does it equal 0? 5 plus 5? That's not 0. And what about here on the second one? 5 plus 1? Also not 0. So therefore, 5 works. I could do the same thing with negative 3. Neither of these denominators also equal 0 when I put a negative 3 in, right? Remember, I cannot have a 0 on the bottom of the fraction. So 5 and negative 3, let's see. There it is right there. 5 and negative 3. All right. Let me make sure here. All right, we're going to do number 8. Okay, that's the second one here. Now when we do this, we want to be thinking about, and you had a chance to do this for the law firm side, is factoring the denominators. Doesn't look like the left or the middle factors, but this one does. T minus 5 and t minus 1. So again, we're factoring it just as a different way to write this expression here. Okay, but that's how we're truly looking for it. All right. Now, when we're seeing this here, we have to be thinking again about this LCD, right? So my LCD, I want to be thinking, what's here on the bottom? It's just a t minus 1. I'll move to the next denominator. What's there on that bottom? Just a t minus 5. Notice I already have both of them here for this LCD. So therefore, that's really going to be helpful for us. All right? So next step, we're going to go ahead and see what t minus 1, t minus 5, t minus 1, t minus 5, and t minus 1 and t minus 5 actually happens on the bottom of these fractions, right? So I'm going to see what cancels out. It looks like it's just that t minus 1 on the first fraction. Looks like it's just the t minus 5 there. Forgot the end of the parentheses. Just the t minus 5 cancels there on the middle fraction. And both of them are going to cancel there on the last ones, right? So let's see what we have left. We have a t plus 2. And we also have a t minus 5, right? So that's where that comes from. We had a plus sign. That's important to note. 4. And then I have that t minus 1 left. And then, you know what? What's really nice here is because they both canceled out on that fraction, we'll just have the 6 there. Right? So we could distribute, that's t squared minus 3t minus 10. Right? I'm just combining those middle terms right there. That's negative 5t. That's positive 2t, just to make it minus 3t. Right here, it looks like I have plus 4t minus 4, and that equals 6. Right? So it looks like I've done all my distributing like before. I want to make sure that I get everything on one side here. All right? So it looks like I'm running out of space here. Again, please, please, please use the back side of this page to show your work. T squared, right, And if I combine these, it looks like I just have a positive t right here. Negative 3, positive 4. I'm left with just a positive t. Now this one's a little bit tricky here, but I have a negative 10 and a negative 4. That's negative 14. I'm also going to have to bring that 6 to the other side, so I'm going to have to subtract 6. So I have negative 10, negative 4, and if I move the 6 over, that's also a negative 6, so it's just minus 20. Now we have everything on one side, so we're just going to be able to get it set up. We have it in a form that we can easily factor. And so that's what I'm going to do. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 20. They also have to add to be positive 1. So t plus 5, t minus 4. That means t plus 5 has to equal 0. That's just going to be negative 5. And t minus 4 also has to be 0. That's going to be positive 4. Let's see if we can find them here. It looks like it is in a different order, but it is this RE right here. Alright, so like I said, you're going to be assigned the odd problems. This is the last joke worksheet. I'll definitely post a video here on Wednesday and tell you what the answer is. I know that some of you that's really been helpful for you in order to come up with the right answer. Alright, so I bid you adieu until tomorrow.